I'm Dr. David Warren. I'm 60 years old, and after more than 3 decades working with patients over 50, I've learned a truth almost no one talks about. Muscle doesn't disappear with age. It just needs the right signal to wake back up. I've met people in their 70s, 80s, even 90s who walked into my clinic with weak legs, slow steps, and worry in their eyes. And yet, those same people came back weeks later, stronger than they had been 10 years before, all because of a few simple changes in their diet. Today, I want to share a breakthrough that modern science is only just beginning to understand, a group of everyday vegetables that can reactivate dormant muscle fibers, even more powerfully than eggs, meat, or protein powders. If you're over 70 and think it's too late to rebuild strength, I'm here to tell you, it's absolutely not. Your body can still change, and everything begins with the vegetables you already have in your kitchen. You know, when I turned 60, I started noticing things I never paid attention to when I was younger. My steps getting a little slower, that click in the knee, or needing a few seconds to get out of bed in the morning. Maybe you felt that too, right? But after years of treating patients in their 70s and above, I realized something surprising. Our muscles don't really grow old. They simply fall asleep. Imagine this for a moment. Inside your body are muscle fibers that never disappeared. They're just waiting for the right signal to wake up. And the most shocking part? That signal comes from the simplest vegetables. Not medication, not heavy gym workouts, not expensive protein shakes. I remember one of my patients, Helen, age 74. She told me, "Doctor, I feel like my legs don't belong to me anymore." But just a few weeks after adding the right foods to her meals, she came back smiling brighter than I'd ever seen. "Look at this," she said. "I can carry my heavy soup pot down the stairs again." And she wasn't the only one. These vegetables contain natural compounds strong enough to activate muscle fibers that have been asleep for years, helping people over 70 regain strength they thought was gone forever. And I want you to hear this clearly. Your body still has so much potential waiting to be unlocked. It just needs the right signal. And I'm going to show you exactly what those signals are, starting right now. Have you ever wondered why some people at 75 can still walk with confidence, while others the same age struggle just to get up from a chair? It's not luck. It's not genetics. Most of the time, it comes down to how they feed their muscles every single day. Let me tell you a story. A man named Richard, 78 years old, once told me, "Doc, I don't need to be as strong as a young guy. I just don't want to be scared every time I take a step down." That sentence stayed with me for a long time. And you know what? One of the things I recommended to him was a food most people never think about: edamame. Edamame, young soybeans, looks simple and ordinary. But inside, it holds something remarkable. Genistein, a compound Japanese researchers consider a natural muscle recovery signal. What impressed me most is that studies show genistein can actually reverse muscle loss in adults over 70. Not slow it down, reverse it. I want you to picture this. You eat a small bowl of edamame, and instead of just giving you protein, it sends a powerful message to your muscle cells. Wake up, rebuild, get strong again. When Richard came back after 8 weeks, his steps were quicker, and his posture was more stable. Not because he joined a gym. He didn't. All he did was take light walks and change the way he ate. And that's what I want to leave you with today. Sometimes the thing that helps you get strong again isn't something big. It's something as simple as a small bowl of green soybeans. There's something a lot of people over 70 often tell me. "Doctor, I can't feel the blood in my legs anymore." They feel heavy, like they're tied to stones. And every time I hear that, I smile and ask, "Have you had spinach recently?" Sounds strange, right? That soft, leafy green vegetable, having the power to change how your legs feel? But science backs it up. Spinach contains ECDsteroids, natural compounds that can boost muscle by up to 20% in just 10 weeks. And they're especially powerful for older adults whose hormones have slowed down. I want you to picture this. You eat a handful of spinach, and just a few hours later, the nitrates inside it begin turning into nitric oxide. That molecule helps widen your blood vessels, like opening up bigger highways so oxygen and nutrients can finally reach your muscles. One of my patients, Catherine, 72, once told me her legs felt alive again after a few weeks of eating cooked spinach every day. It wasn't a miracle. It was simply her muscles finally receiving what they'd been waiting for: fresh blood, new fuel, and a real chance to repair what aging had taken away. And this is what I always remind my patients. You don't need to push yourself too hard. Just let the right foods do their job. And sometimes, a small handful of green leaves is enough to help your legs stay strong for another decade. Let me ask you something. Do you remember the last time your arms or legs felt completely worn out, just from cleaning the house or taking one trip to the grocery store? Most of my patients over 70 tell me the exact same thing. I used to work for hours without a problem. Now just standing for 20 minutes makes me tired. And every time I hear that, my mind goes straight to something surprisingly simple: broccoli. Broccoli isn't everyone's favorite food. Honestly, when I was younger, I didn't like it either. But once I learned that broccoli contains sulforaphane, a compound that can reduce muscle inflammation by up to 73%, I started looking at it differently. I remember a man named Henry, 76. He told me, "Doc, my body feels like an old machine full of rust." So I suggested he eat steamed broccoli a few times a week. Nothing dramatic, just a small bowl. And after 6 weeks, he told me something I'll never forget. It's not that I feel younger, but I feel like it's easier to live inside this body again. Sulforaphane works like a quiet repair worker, slipping into your muscle cells and cleaning up the tiny bits of damage that aging leaves behind. It even helps reactivate the protective switches in your body that slowly turn off over the years. When your muscles are less inflamed, your steps feel lighter. When your cells are protected, you recover faster from everything you do. And here's what I want you to remember. There's no magical food, but there are foods that quietly make your everyday life easier. Broccoli is one of them. There's something most people over 70 don't realize. Sometimes your strength isn't just in your muscles, it's in your gut. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But whenever a patient tells me they're eating well, yet still feel weak and tired, I always ask, is your gut healthy? I remember a woman named Evelyn, 71. She told me, "Doc, I eat meat, I drink milk, but my body doesn't seem to absorb anything." That's when I introduced her to a food so simple most people overlook it: lentils. Lentils don't just pack 18 grams of protein in one cup, more than 3 eggs. They also contain something even more powerful: resistant starch, a special type of fiber that feeds the good bacteria in your gut. And do you know what happens when your gut is healthy? It sends signals that help your muscles absorb protein better, reduce inflammation, and even guide nutrients toward your muscles instead of storing them as fat. One study showed that older adults who replaced just half of their animal protein with lentils for 12 weeks gained 12% more muscle and significantly reduced belly fat. And I've seen it myself. After 2 months, Evelyn came back smiling. "I don't know if it's the lentils, but I can get up from my chair a whole lot easier." The best part is that lentils are gentle. They don't cause bloating. They don't trigger inflammation. And they're easy to cook and easy to digest, which is perfect for older adults. And here's what I want you to remember. Sometimes, to get stronger, you have to start with the part of your body that's been neglected the most: your digestive system. There's something many people don't realize. It's not that your body loses the ability to build muscle. It's that your muscles stop hearing the signal to build. It's like an old radio with static. The message is there, but the signal is weak. You eat well, but your muscles just don't get the memo. In science, we call this anabolic resistance, when aging makes your muscles less responsive to the signals that tell them to grow. But here's the interesting part. Sometimes, all you need is a louder volume for your muscles to hear the message again. And the most effective volume booster is leucine, a powerful amino acid found in peas. I remember a man named Samuel, 82. He was thin, with rounded shoulders, and he told me, "Doc, I don't need much. I just want to get out of bed without feeling dizzy." So I suggested he try a small bowl of lightly mashed peas at dinner. Peas are packed with leucine, like hitting the on switch, sending a strong message for the muscles to start rebuilding again. The great thing is that pea protein is easy to digest. It doesn't sit heavy in the stomach like meat, and it doesn't cause inflammation the way certain dairy or whey products can. Just 3-4 weeks later, Samuel came back and said, "I'm not as strong as I was at 40, but my legs listen to me better." Leucine from peas enters the bloodstream quickly, almost like a clear voice saying, "It's time to build." And for older adults, sometimes the right signal is all the body needs to take over. What I want you to remember is this. Your muscles aren't abandoning you. They just need to be awakened. And sometimes, one small bowl of green peas is enough to make a difference.
There's something older adults rarely think about. Your strength isn't just about how much muscle you have. It's about how your muscles fuel themselves to move. When we're young, the body naturally produces plenty of creatine, the compound your muscles use to contract, stay balanced, stay steady, and lift weight. But once we pass 60, those creatine levels drop significantly. That's why your arms can suddenly feel weaker, or why stepping down a single stair can feel a little wobbly. I remember a patient named Laura, 75. She told me, "Doc, I'm not afraid of pain. I'm afraid of losing my balance and falling." And when she said that, I understood just how real that fear is for someone her age. Here's the interesting part. All the vegetables we've talked about, edamame, lentils, spinach, peas, they all have one thing in common. They help reactivate your body's natural creatine production. I want you to picture this. When you eat a bowl of edamame or a warm bowl of lentil soup, your body begins making the same compound athletes buy in powder form, but in a gentler, safer, completely natural version that's perfect for older adults. After a few weeks, Laura came back to my clinic and said, "I'm not a whole lot stronger, but I feel steadier when I get up, more stable when I walk. It's like someone tightened all the loose bolts inside me." And that only reinforced what I've believed for years. Even at 70 or 80, your body still has silent repair systems working for you. They just need the right nourishment to wake them up. There's something I think anyone over 70 can feel very clearly. Your legs just aren't as quick as they used to be, not only because they're weaker, but because the blood doesn't flow the way it once did. You know that feeling, right? That heaviness in your legs, like you're carrying an invisible backpack every time you climb a step. I once asked a patient, Harris, 79, "When you stand up from a chair, what part feels the hardest?" He answered slowly, "I'm not tired, Doc. I just feel like my legs aren't getting any energy." That sentence stayed with me for a long time. And interestingly, the solution came from nitrate-rich vegetables, especially spinach and broccoli. The nitrates in these vegetables convert into nitric oxide, a molecule that widens your blood vessels, like opening extra lanes on the highway so blood can flow to your muscles more easily. When circulation improves, your muscles get more oxygen, recover faster, and most importantly, you regain a sense of strength that many people think is gone forever. Harris came back after 5 weeks of eating boiled spinach every day. He said, "Doc, I'm not running any marathons, but I can climb the stairs without holding the railing now. And in his eyes, I didn't just see happiness, I saw the return of confidence. Confidence that aging isn't the end of strength. And I believe the same can happen for you. Sometimes, just one simple plate of green vegetables a day is enough to reopen the pathways time once seemed to close. I want to share something with you, something many people don't believe until they experience it themselves. You don't need to eat a ton of meat to build muscle after 70. I know that sounds completely opposite to what we were taught growing up. We were told that to be strong, you must eat meat. That older adults get weaker because they don't get enough protein. But newer science tells a very different story. One of my patients, Marco, 74, once said, "Doc, I eat chicken and beef every day, but I still feel myself getting weaker." So I asked him, "Are you sure your body is actually absorbing all of that?" He shook his head. After 70, our digestive system simply doesn't handle large amounts of animal protein the way it used to. But here's the surprising part. The body absorbs plant protein much more smoothly, especially from foods like lentils, edamame, and green peas. I suggested Marco try something very simple. Cut his meat intake in half and replace it with plant protein for 8 weeks. No heavy lifting, no jogging, just his usual light walking routine. And guess what happened? He gained 9% muscle mass, lost belly fat, and most importantly, he told me, "I feel clearer, lighter, not weighed down after meals anymore." Older adults don't need more protein. They need smart protein, easy to digest, non-inflammatory, and gentle on the body. And these vegetables deliver exactly that, which is why I always tell my patients, don't eat more, eat smarter. And if you want to regain your strength but feel scared of making a big change, start with just half. Sometimes, one small half step creates the biggest transformation. There's something I always tell my patients in their 70s, 80s, even 90s. We don't grow weak because of age. We grow weak because we're missing the very things our muscles have been waiting for. And strangely enough, sometimes those things are just vegetables. Simple, everyday vegetables, yet packed with compounds powerful enough to wake up muscle fibers that have been asleep for decades. One of my patients, Teresa, 81, once asked me, "Doc, how many years younger do you think I could feel if I eat the way you suggest?" I didn't want to overpromise, so I answered gently, "Give me 6 weeks, and you tell me how you feel." We didn't change much, just rotated through 5 muscle-activating vegetables: edamame, lentils, spinach, peas, and broccoli. No strict rules. No extreme diets. Just adding them into her meals as a simple, daily habit. After 6 weeks, Teresa came back and told me something I'll never forget. I'm not younger, but my body treats me as if I were 15 years younger. She walked faster, stood up more easily, climbed stairs without stopping halfway. And then she said the sentence that moved me most. "I finally feel like I belong in this body again, not like it's dragging me behind it." Science has proven these effects, but it's my patients' experiences that make me believe it wholeheartedly. If you give your body the right ingredients, it will return strength you thought was gone forever. Sometimes the real miracle isn't in the gym or in expensive pills. It's in the vegetables you already put on your dinner table every day. If you've stayed with me this far, I want you to take a quiet moment and ask yourself one simple question. How strong could this body become if I finally give it what it truly needs? I've been doing this for more than 30 years, and the moments that touch me most aren't the complicated medical cases that get solved. It's the moment when someone at 75, 80, even 85 years old, realizes they still have the ability to be strong, to be independent, to live a life not held back by their legs. I've seen people who once struggled to walk, who feared stairs, who felt discouraged by age, but just by adding these 5 vegetables into their meals each week, they found pieces of themselves they thought were gone forever. And I want that for you. Remember, you are never too old to change. You are never too late to start. And your body, no matter how many decades it has lived through, is still waiting for you to treat it with patience, kindness, and the right fuel. If this video has given you hope, motivation, or even just one new idea to take better care of yourself, I hope you'll tap the like button so YouTube knows you want more content that helps you get stronger every day. Leave me a comment, tell me your age, where you're watching from, and which vegetable you want to try first. I read every single comment. And if you have a loved one over 60 who's struggling with their health, share this video with them. Sometimes, one small share can change an entire life.